Steph.
And I'm Joel.
And welcome to Framed
Canvas Cuffs.
and Other Stuffs.
Season 2, baby.
Woo!
We're back. We're back. Can
in
you
the-
believe it?
Bolleadu.
Olé adieu.
Ugh.
Enjoy the episode.
Hello, Joel.
Hi. Hello.
How
Our
are you?
microphones are on different sides and it is throwing me off like a tiny bit. I don't feel like myself.
Did you ever read the book as a kid called Bamboozled?
No.
Okay, so there was a book called Bamboozled. It was a kid's book, and all day her day is going wrong and she can't work it out, and it's because granddad's wearing odd socks. That's the end of the book. So this is our odd sock moment.
Yes.
So it's like everything's going to feel a little like off.
It kind of feels like, you know, when you take a selfie or you take a photo or whatever with your phone camera and then you like flip it to the other side and everything looks really
And you're
weird.
like, is this how people see me?
Your face looks so different when it's flipped.
Yeah.
That's how I'm feeling right now.
Instead of a recommendation this week, I think we're just going to talk about where we were last night and who we saw.
The best concert I think I've ever been to. I feel like I say that after every concert I go to, but this was definitely like I felt euphoric after. I feel euphoric today.
Yeah. We went and saw Australia's princess, Charlene from Neighbours, Kylie Minogue. Kylie, the original Kylie.
Tension tour.
She played for the second night in Melbourne. She's got another show tonight.
It was incredible.
It was so good.
It was joyous. It was almost like being at one of those, you know, like those mega churches.
Yep.
Where they have those big like
Hillsong
conferences.
Yeah.
But instead of praising Jesus,
Woo.
we were praising Kylie.
And you know what? I trust her.
Okay, I'm going to say this. Even though it was for her Tension album, which came out last year or the year before, 2023, I think, she released Tension and Tension 2. Even though it was a Tension tour, it was essentially an Eras
Honestly,
tour.
I said we're making
with
such
a sprinkling of tension.
Yeah, I was like, we're making such a big deal about Taylor Swift doing these long shows, doing all of her eras. But I was like, Kylie kind of did it and she played for quite a long time. She was on stage for 2.5 hours.
Oh, it wasn't 2.5, surely.
Two?
Unless it was, if it was, it did not feel like that.
It did not stop. And she is a little bit older than Miss Swift.
I feel like it was paced perfectly.
Yep.
The songs that she chose to be like little like snippet medley things really worked.
The medley at the start, 10 out of 10. Kylie Minogue, please release that little mega mix because it was so good.
It was, just a mix of all of her eras except X. I don't think she played anything from X.
We're looking at our resident Kylie fan.
Yeah, 11 concerts
and counting.
SJ's been to. So I'm not sure why X was left out.
She's got too many hits.
Literally. Like she had to create a succinct concert experience and I think she did that. The joy in the room, like
it was
the energy,
so good. And it was
best crowd.
Yeah, everyone was up and dancing the whole time. Sold out Rod Laver. Not a single person was sitting. Like
no.
It was.
There were kids there with their parents up and dancing and having an amazing time.
And it was just like it seemed like no one was in a bad mood.
No one. Well, we were a bit late to get in. So we got caught up in the drinks line at the very, very, like she was about to start. We thought she was going to go on because she did go on the night before at 8:45.
Yes.
And then last night she decided, hey, I'm going to start at 8:30.
Hey.
Oh, lol. Given the lady on the intercom was just like, everyone get inside. She's about to start.
And then it was like, bang, she started.
Yeah.
Girl, you got to give us a little bit of extra time.
So we were in the drinks line. I'm saying to Lockie, I'm like, oh, really? We should go get our seats. Like, let's just go. We'll get drinks later, blah, blah, blah. No, we'll be fine. You hear the start of the concert. We go in. We haven't even figured out where in Rod Laver that we were sitting. Turns out we were on the floor. We didn't know that, which were great seats.
Love that for you for because you are tall.
Yes, I said that to Lockie. I'm like, thank God we're tall.
Yeah,
because it's flat. It's flat surface. So if you're little, you have to stand up on the chair or whatever.
Yeah.
So we were scrambling to get our seats when she did open. Mm-hmm. So I was a bit of a cranky poop. I wasn't very helpful in finding our seats because I was being a bit difficult. Yeah, I cracked the shits for a tiny little bit, and that's completely on me. I didn't help. I decided I'm going to be poopy instead of being productive.
Yep.
Because I was missing the starts of lights, camera, action.
It's fine.
It's totally fine. We're there for 2 hours.
But you did want to see her drop down from the ceiling.
I did, and then once we got our seats, it's not like we needed seats. We were standing up the whole time anyway. And then and everything just washed away.
Yeah.
The joy that she was having on stage.
And she was
having a blast.
She was having a good time. Yeah. And I felt like, because there was a few times where the crowd just went crazy and there was a moment towards the end where she kind of was like, all right, we're wrapping it up.
Yeah.
And the crowd just started screaming and there was just this wall of sound.
Yeah.
And
a little teeny tiny Kylie.
She
just flies up and hits the back wall.
Honestly, how does she handle that? Because that's not a normal amount of energy.
I would bawl my eyes out if that many people were screaming at me.
Felt like she must. She literally squatted down and was just like in a ball, like couldn't believe it.
It's also because like Melbourne's her hometown.
Yeah.
So it was like a welcome home moment.
And this show
everyone's so proud
was
of her.
the show that this was the first show that went on sale. So this was the diehard fans.
Yes. Yeah.
So everyone who was in pre-sale, anyone who could get early tickets, early access, this was her crowd, I think.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like, I'm sure last night's was just as good and tonight's will be just as good.
Yeah.
But it was like, there was something about that crowd that I think was like, this is everyone who really wanted to be
and
there.
And you could tell. You could tell and she could tell.
Yeah.
And I think she said her family was in the crowd as well.
I thought that too. She said it at the start. And so I think she got a bit emotional about that. She also almost dropped that she now lived in London.
Yes.
Accidentally, but she pulled herself back.
Yeah.
Kylie, we noticed.
Yes.
She's like, she's like, where are you from? She's like, London. She's like, that's where I spend a lot of time. And we were like, we know, babes. We know you don't live here anymore. It's okay.
Love London. London loves Minogues.
Yeah, but the only thing I will say is I think she should have played Padam at the top, not the bottom of her set, because by the time we got to Padam, I was pretty tired. She was pretty tired, and I think that it didn't have as big as an impact. I think tension was exactly where it needed to be, but I think Padam could have been like a good up the front because it would have been like high energy because it didn't hit as hard as I thought it would.
I disagree.
Podcast over.
I feel completely the opposite. I think opening with lights, camera, action makes sense because it's like lights, camera, action. Let's start the show.
Go.
It's kind of like one of her latest songs. It's high energy.
Yeah.
Majority of people know it, I guess.
Yeah.
Ending with Padam. Padam has been her biggest hit, I think, since Can't Get You Out of My Head. If I'm not mistaken. Like it went viral. It's
true.
Humongous, and it's the heart of the Tension album. And I think having that at the very end, because if it ended and Padam didn't play, everyone would be like, what? Why didn't she do Padam?
Yeah.
But I feel like Padam ending it was
What was her last
perfect.
song though?
Her second last?
Padam was second last, but what was her last song? Love at First Sight?
Oh, yeah.
That was a great ender.
Was. No, it was.
And she's a pro, you could tell.
Yeah.
Like she is almost 60.
Yeah.
Am I aging her a bit?
She's late 50s.
You know what? She
looks amazing.
She looks insane. Those Minogues.
Danny as well.
You know what? Whoever's doing the work, 10 out of 10.
What a look about us, don't we?
Yeah.
Like the Nicoles.
Yeah, actually.
The Kate Blanchetts. The Naomi Wattses. The Minogues. We've all got this. They've got this.
They've got a look.
Very cheekbony, very young.
Yeah, it's the cheekbones.
Yeah.
It's just licking my foot.
Oh,
bud. How many Padams out of 10 would you give it?
12, 13.
13.
14. 14 Padams out of 10. I cannot. I'm in the best mood.
Aww.
I had the best time. I was riding an absolute high at the end.
Yeah. If you get an opportunity to go and see Kylie Minogue, please go and see her because she really is. Yeah, I didn't get the song that I wanted.
No, she was never. Look, even if it was a tension heavy.
You were never getting Love Train.
No, I love Love Train, but
Not
you can
enough
tell
to even perform it.
No, but you can tell on the album Love Train is it's almost like a filler. It's like a fun track. And you can tell she was like, "Oh, this is a fun one. I'm going to put I'm going to put in Love Train."
I think I don't even want it that much. It's just become part of my identity now.
Yes, I knew she wouldn't put it in.
Yeah.
And even if it was like just Tension and Tension 2 songs, but she had to cull 2,
it would.
Love Train wouldn't have made it. Locomotion
went crazy.
Maybe that's why she didn't do Love Train. She's like, I just can't be too train heavy if I'm going to get rid of one train track.
It's got to be.
It's got to be Love Train.
Love Train. It's got to be my second board.
Yeah, or else it's going to be the train tour.
I wanted to do a train tour.
For the V-Line.
Dude. If V-Line was smart.
If she was performing like on the GAN or something like that, maybe it would make more sense.
We've got to get a Train Kylie Minogue sessions tour and she'll play Love Train for me. I don't think
just like an album full of like Kylie Minogue sings the Train classics and it can be called like Caboose.
Let Loose Caboose.
Yeah.
Well, that's 40 minutes on Kylie Minogue. We'll see you all next week.
Oh, God. I could do an entire episode just talking about Kylie. Every gay has their like queen and I think Kylie is definitely mine.
Oh.
Yeah.
You won't be saying that after. When's Gaga's album out? March 2nd? I feel like.
Yeah, but I don't.
You don't feel the same?
No. Gaga's like, I'm talking about more like Gaga's still kind of in that modern-y.
Yeah, she's not the icon.
Well, she is an icon.
But she's not the Cher.
No, I wrote Kylie in with, you know, the Madonnas and the Chers and that era.
Yeah.
Of divas.
Diva.
She's not a diva.
I don't think.
Oh, well, who knows?
Maybe she's a
behind
real.
The scenes.
I can't even imagine her being
neither.
a bitch.
She's just daggy and fun and like.
Love her.
Yeah. Alrighty. See you later.
Good seeing you.
No, we need to get to the bottom of this mystery.
I know. I bought props today.
So this is part 2 of our mystery
tour.
I can't remember what it was. You might have to refresh me.
Well,
what are we talking about?
The Isabella Gardner Museum.
That's the one.
Yes. Don't worry. I'm going to start you off with a fun little pop quiz to see what you remember.
Yes. Okay. Quiz me, baby.
All right, Joel. Let's test your memory.
Yep.
Don't worry. There's multiple choice if you need it.
Okay.
Part 2. Before we do, let's see what we can remember.
Okay.
So what major holiday was being celebrated in Boston the night of the heist?
St. Patrick's Day.
Hey, good job. What was Isabella Stewart Gardner's one big rule for the museum after her death?
Absolutely nothing can change. It has to be exactly how she left it.
100% right. 2 out of 2. When the young woman arrived for her shift change in the morning after the heist, what was the first clue that something was wrong?
Ooh. All right, give me multiple choice.
A, the museum doors were unlocked. B, the security desk was empty. C, the museum lights were flickering. Or D, the fire alarm was going off.
Security desk.
Yes.
Yes, because that might be another one of the questions.
You can say it.
They were bound and gagged in the basement.
Yes.
The security.
Yes, they certainly were. What was the very specific and theatrical phrase that the fake cop said when they entered the museum?
They said...
Was it A, drop your weapons, hands in the air?
Oh, no. It was, we're robbing you.
Yeah, it was, gentlemen, this is a robbery.
Yes, that's right, yes.
How long did the thieves spend inside the museum?
80 minutes.
Yeah, 81.
81
but 80
minutes.
is very, you know what?
Give me that point.
I'll give you that point. Okay, so one of the most famous stolen paintings was the storm on the Sea of Galilee. What made it extra special?
There's 2 reasons. There's a self-portrait of
Rembrandt,
and Jesus is on the boat.
Jesus.
Is that what it is?
There's another reason why it was an extra special painting.
It was the only one that he's done that's a seascape.
Correct. You're acing this, Joel.
I've had a lot go on in the last week, like since I was here last, and this really sunk in. I'm very proud of myself.
Yeah. Which of these objects did the thieves steal for some reason?
Mm-hmm.
Was it I
can probably guess without the. Do I list all the objects?
No, just the one that was like kind of like, why'd you steal that one?
It was either the Napoleon's eagle, or the Incan vase.
It was a Chinese.
Oh, Shaman.
M.
Night Shyamalan.
M. Night Shyamalan vase. Yes.
But I'm going to go with the eagle.
Yes.
Yeah.
Correct. Ding, 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 ding. You got 2 more. Out of the security guards that night, Rick did something highly suspicious before the thieves arrived. What was it?
Was Rick one of the security guards?
Mm-hmm.
Did something highly suspicious.
It's like this is a real cheeky one, to be fair. Do you want the multiple choice?
Yes.
Was it A, he opened and closed the front door for no apparent reason? B, he turned off all of the security cameras? C, he called someone on a payphone right outside the museum? Or D, he left a coded note in the security logbook?
I cannot remember.
It was A, he opened and closed the front door for no apparent reason.
Oh, and then maybe he was having like a vape or something.
Just a little cheeky vape.
Little cheeky cig.
Little cig out the window. All right, Joel, final one. How did the thieves remove the paintings from the museum?
They cut them from their frames and then left the frames in scatters along the floor really rudely.
Exactly.
Yep.
Look at you go. Very smart boy. Yay. Should we talk about the suspects?
Yes.
All right. There's a lot. This is going to take a minute.
How many I remember, how much I remember.
I know. I'm very impressed. That really sunk in.
I'm learning things from this podcast.
I
hope it's the same for everyone else as well.
Yeah. You know what? Let us know.
Yeah.
Tell us.
We did have a big night at Kylie last night, so forgive us if we're a little bit tired.
Yes. But we're getting there.
We're getting there.
Alrighty. So from my murder board, suspect number 1.
There's no one there.
There's no one there. Hey!
Oh.
Suspect number 1. Rickabath.
Oh, that's his hair.
His hair. This is the security guard they found in the basement.
Is that how they found him?
That's how they found him.
Oh, that's scary.
That's tape around his face. But when you actually looked at him front on, there was like no good pictures that I could find. So it was weird. They bound him around here, but it was kind of like his mouth hadn't really been bound covered properly. It was like one. It's a very, very strange way to gag someone by doing this.
They got Weird Al Yankovic.
You know what? Weird Al
was he a security guard before he decided to make parody pop songs?
Parody music? This was his...
Just eat it.
Eat it.
So problematic.
Oh, dear.
Wasn't it fun when we used to be able to laugh and stuff, Steph?
Back when we didn't have to... We're starting to sound like our parents where we're like, you know what? Kids these days just can't take a joke. This is a bit of an interesting character. So he would be like the first suspect in any crime documentary, and everyone's kind of like, did he do it? Isn't this a bit of a red herring? All right, so here is a little bit about Rick. He was 23 years old at the time of the heist. He was the night shift security guard, which is not exactly like a high pressure situation. Usually for the security guards at night, it was you go in, you search around, you do a lap around the gallery, and then you literally sit in the security office and just kind of waste the night away. He does seem like
the type of guy who'd be like, I'd want a lax job.
Yeah, he's a very chill man.
He's got a bum bag, a real 90s looking bum bag.
Yeah, the 90s, what a time. Literally looks like anyone walking around on the north side.
100%. Yeah, it looks like guys that I would have picked up
the side of the road.
The circuit on Smith Street.
So he was a musician, a self-proclaimed hippie, and the museum job was just a job. Obviously, he's 23. He really doesn't care.
The baby.
He's a baby. He, used to play gigs. He'd, kind of just hang out, drink, Honestly, the biggest kind of thing that he was making sure that was happening that night was making sure that the temperature control was right so the artwork didn't get damaged.
Oh, that's good.
But then
that was one of the things that
they spent the money on.
They spent the money on. They were like, let's focus on the temperature, not so much on the security.
Well,
which, important things.
But I know which one I'd be choosing at this point.
But like I said last week, they've gone so long since the 1800s, since like any major break-in.
So you're
also going to be a bit lax.
Yeah.
St. Patrick's Day, who's going to break into a museum?
Yeah. Who's going to do that? So at 1:24 a.m., two men dressed as Boston police officers buzzed the door, and Rick was the one who let them in. So he's the one who... So there was a rule, and I don't know if you remember, that even if the cops showed up, you weren't technically allowed to let them into the museum. There was no ins or outs.
Yeah.
So it was strange that he would open the door for them.
Well, because I said last week, I wouldn't have known that. I would have been like, oh, they're the cops. You have to, of course. You have to open the door or else I'm going to get in trouble.
Yeah.
But they need warrants and stuff. People forget.
People forget. Yeah. You don't let the cops into your house without a warrant. And always ask for a lawyer even if you're innocent.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just some fun facts.
Yeah.
There was the weird thing where 10 minutes before these guys showed up, the cops, he did open and close the door, and there's no reason as to why.
How long did he open and close the door for, do we know? Was it just a quick...
I think it was just a little...
long enough for him to maybe smoke a joint?
You know what?
Because he looks like...
he might just enjoy...
I've got the night shift.
Just going to get
I'm going to bring my...
A-game.
My sticky green.
The reefer. Some Mary Jane.
Weed's one of those things where it's like, no matter how I say it, I sound like a parent trying to talk about
weed.
I'm like, do you guys want to smoke some Mary Jane? Some sticky green? Reefer? What do you say? Because weed is just... Do people say joint?
You want to smoke a joint? Yeah, I'd say...
guys, let's get blazed. There's no way I can say it without sounding lame.
Maybe that's the whole point.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not my choice, to be fair, so I'm not saying it all that often.
I don't like the smell of it. I wish I liked it.
Yeah, me too. I wish I did.
The smell of it kind of makes me go, it's just not my thing.
Have you ever smoked synthetic weed?
Yeah, I think you and I did once.
Ugh.
And it made us feel like our meat was falling off our bones.
Yeah, I remember vividly it started raining and it felt like the rain was slicing into my skin. And that's legal.
I don't think they sell it anymore. It was
probably
really
crack.
Awful stuff.
Yeah.
We got it from off your tree or something.
Yeah,
shit like that. Yeah, terrible. Just smoke the real stuff.
Yeah,
if you're gonna go and do all that.
This is not advice. But if you want to, do it. Don't do the fake stuff. Do the real stuff.
Do the real thing.
Come on, guys.
Yeah.
Smoke the reefer.
I like it when it's in cookies and brownies.
Brownies and butter.
Yeah. Less crime. Everyone's too chill.
Everyone's too chill to commit it.
That's why Amsterdam doesn't have a high crime rate.
Because they're all just chill.
Well, no one can be bothered because they're all just...
sleepy.
They're all just blazed. Anyway, sorry, Steph. I'm completely...
No, I like it.
Let's keep going. I think he might have had a joint.
Yeah. You know what? Don't know how long he was out there, whether he just popped his head out or he smoked some weed.
Smoked a J,
but you know what? He was there. He opened it up 10 minutes before. All right. So once inside, Rick and the other told the other security guard they needed to come out from behind the desk. Rick complied. And he walked away from so this is where it gets a little strange. There was one button in the entire museum that had a direct alert to the police. So if something was going down, they could push the button and it would alert the police that would come straight away.
Yeah.
That was in the security office. He walked away from that and didn't press it at any point. So it's kind of like, why? Like, as soon as...
Maybe he forgot it was there. They've never had to use it before.
That's true. It's been open a while.
Probably in some manual that he would have read during his induction and never
thought about it again because he doesn't really care. Also, they spoke to them. So they were in this museum for 81 minutes. They spoke to these two security guards for a long time before they took them to the basement, apparently. Like, it was pretty, like, it wasn't like they were like, get in the basement. They were kind of just like...
They were like scarily calm.
Yeah, like weird.
Which is even more creepy.
Yeah. So whether he knew them or not...
We're going to rob you now. We're going to tie you up.
And you're going to come down to the basement and we're going to tie you up down there. And then we're going to walk around and take some things off the wall.
Yeah, that's kind of chilling a little bit.
Yeah. Weirdly, whilst the crime was being committed, there was an alarm that went off, a fire alarm, but it during that time, like during the robbery, but the thieves didn't leave even though the alarm went off, which shows some form of insider information that they knew that alarm didn't really trigger anything. So why? Like, how did they know that? There's also another weird thing when it comes to Rick. So there were sensory detection for each of the for a lot of the museum. Not the whole museum, but a lot of the museum, there was like this thing where it would ping and it would say, all right, someone's been in this room, someone's been in this room, and it would print out every time that a sensor went off.
Like the lasers.
Catherine
Zeta-Jones.
There's only one painting that went missing in the blue room.
Yep.
And the only moment that a sensor went off in the blue room was when Rick was doing his rounds of the night.
Okay.
So did Rick do this? It was before the robbery. And so this sensor went off in the blue room and then it didn't go off again for the rest of the night. But there was a painting that had been stolen from that room. And then to have the foresight to maybe take it earlier means you might have known that something was going to happen later. Anyway, so the FBI started looking into everyone after the heist, obviously, and Rick's actions were pretty suspicious.
Yep.
He had submitted his resignation just days before the robbery.
Okay.
On the night of the robbery, one of the regular security guards called in sick. So there was an inexperienced guard who was sent to replace him, someone who'd never worked the shift before. So that person might not have known that you couldn't let people in. That person might not have known that there was a button, but Rick might have known, so he used that person's...
Talk about a rough first shift.
I know. Ow. Apparently this security guard bought his tuba to practice because he thought it was going to be so chill. And he was just playing for the thieves whilst...
Oh, not the tuba. That's cute.
That's cute. So yeah, that's strange. Also, on the night of January 1st, Rick had already let people into the museum after hours. So
I say we call it. I reckon it's Rick. The first person can't be this suspicious. That's crazy. He doesn't care.
So before this heist, apparently Rick had complained about how terrible the museum security was. And he was like, guys, this is real bad. Like, we are sitting ducks here. Security's bad. And apparently he was just like a bit of a pain in the ass 23-year-old worker. Like, he was a bit annoying.
Why would you complain about it if you kind of don't want them to do anything about it?
But maybe if you complained about it and then you were like...
Well, they're not doing anything, so how about I just steal?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is Rick. He didn't care about his job.
Yep.
He's there the night of the heist, and it's all very strange. So he's suspect number one.
Yeah, heaps more. He's let randos in before. He's opened the door earlier in the night. He was in the blue room. The alarm was only tripped once, and a painting was missing out of the blue room. That's
case closed.
Pretty sus.
Yeah. So he's suspect number 1. We've still got 6 to go.
Oh my God. Okay.
All right, let's break.
But we're looking for 2 people.
Well, yeah,
okay.
I guess.
Okay.
Joe, would you like to do the reveal of suspect number 2?
I like this part. This is fun.
Miles Connor Jr. Junior. So, Joe, let's talk about this gentleman. He pretty much walks straight out of a heist movie.
Yes.
He was not only like a criminal, but he was a criminal who was specific in art thievery and just general heisting of valuables.
Yeah, right.
So that was kind of his crime of choice.
He looks really Aussie, don't you reckon?
Yeah, I see
With
it.
the tank and the tank top and yeah, he's giving me that like the succulent Chinese meal. Yes. He's giving me him.
I see that.
Yeah.
Now that you've said it, I see it. So he's highly intelligent, highly charismatic, and has a knack to stealing high-value art. He'd been pulling off museum heists long before the Gardner robbery. Mm-hmm. In 1975, he pulled off a very bold heist when he stole another Rembrandt from the Museum of Fine Arts. But he didn't just do it for the thrill at the time. He actually stole it because he was being sentenced on a different crime. So he was already getting convicted of a different crime, and he said, like, what's it going to take to get me out of this? And the cop said, give us a Rembrandt. And so then he went and stole the Rembrandt.
Double jeopardy.
You can't sue me. I've got double jeopardy.
I remember from that movie, sorry, I'll be really quick, but the Ashley Judd movie, Double Jeopardy. Double Jeopardy. I remember watching it really, really young and then telling people at school, like, if you go to jail for killing someone, when you get out, you can actually go kill someone else because it cancels it out. Double jeopardy.
That's not how that works.
That's not how it works.
But you know what?
Child mind.
It did.
It did.
So you only
the same crime.
You can't be convicted of the same crime. Twice.
But what if you do the same crime twice?
I think it's got to be the exact same.
You can't get in trouble the second time?
I'm no lawyer, but I don't think that's correct. So if I kill someone, I can kill as many people as I want.
Yeah. Anyway, Miles Connor Jr.
So
he's well versed.
He's well versed. He is. So he's, funnily enough, his bargaining chip worked, and his 8-year sentence got cut in half after he returned this Rembrandt
that he stole.
It wasn't a one-off incident. Connor had a history of museum thefts in 1988, just 2 years before the Gardner heist. A similar art crime happened in Yarmouth, which was quite close to Boston, where 6 portraits were stolen in almost the exact same way. TBC whether he ever got convicted of that, but everyone was like, pretty sure it's this guy. Naturally, when this heist happened, everyone was kind of like, we know you're in the area. We know you like to do these things. We're pretty sure you've done this in the past.
Yeah.
We think it might be you.
But does he have a certain style in which he does these things?
Well, yes.
Does this mimic his signature style?
It mimics his signature style.
Okay.
He'd been inside the museum before, talked to people about the weakness and security in this museum. And it was, although it was kind of a known thing in that kind of world, criminal world, he had allegedly said, like, this is my bucket list heist. Here's like kind of one of the issues with him being, yes, the potential heister. He was in federal custody on the night of the heist.
What does that mean?
So he was in jail the night of the heist. But
that doesn't exclude him from being involved.
Had he potentially organised it and he needed a solid alibi.
Yes. He does seem to know how to kind of like serpentine his way out of like being
caught. or having to do like longer time than he has to. He's charming, he's smart.
Yeah.
You know, when you see him interviewed, he comes off like not as smart, but I'm like, oh, I think you're highly intelligent. You're playing a bit dumb because you don't want to be seen as too smart. There was an incident a little bit later in 1997 when it comes to Miles Connor Jr. He was working with a man called William Youngworth. Suddenly, William was saying, I know where these paintings are kept. I've seen them. William then kind of gets this reporter on board and is like, I have the storm on the Sea of Galilee. So I've seen it.
My fave.
I know where it is.
Yep.
I can prove that to you. He took the reporter to a location and like basically like in a darkened room quickly unrolled it and said, here, this is what it is, and then like rolled it back up. So the reporter was like, it does look like it, but I have no way of verifying whether it's real or this is a fake as well.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
So this guy apparently was kind of almost, because Connor at the time was in jail, this guy was kind of just being like, he was sent to look after, I guess, Connor's stuff while he's in jail.
Yep.
And he'd kind of betrayed Connor and said, hey, I've got this painting, showed a reporter, and the reporter's like, yeah, it looks legit. And then they ended up doing paint I don't know how, somehow they got a paint sample of it. And then they were like, this isn't the paint that Rembrandt would have used. So it was potentially a fake. And also they said, had he rolled it up, like they were saying, it would have cracked the painting because the painting would have been all cracked and there was no real signs of that. So it might have just been
a paint.
Print. Just a little bit about Connor again. It's really strange because he actually came from a family of cops. So his grandfather, his dad and his brother were all part of the law enforcement.
Black sheep.
He was. Apparently also a member of Mensa. So very smart. So it was technically means he's officially a genius.
What's Mensa?
Mensa's that test that you do when you want to prove you're really smart.
Oh, okay.
And if you get a good score, it's like you're a genius.
Okay.
But so yeah, apparently he was very, very intelligent.
Yeah.
He also was in a rock band in the 1960s.
Okay.
And sometimes used his music gigs as alibis.
All right, we've got another muso.
Got another muso. So that's Mr. Connor.
He doesn't excite me as much as Rick.
There's not as much pointing to him.
No. Miles Connor, I feel like if he was involved, he was sending other people out to do his dirty work for him.
And I think as well with Miles, there's a bit more of an intelligence behind him to be able to pull off this heist.
And it sounds like this 1997 guy with the print might have had a bit of a vendetta against Miles, so like, yeah, no, he did it. Rick's still looking a bit sus. Yeah, he's my number one still.
All right, should we go to suspect number 3? Do you want to do the review?
I want to do it.
Do it. Number 3, IRA. The era. So this one's a little bit of a shorter one, but I put him on the list because, why not? Some theories suggest that this stolen art could have been used to fund the Irish Republican Army, also known as the IRA. So it would have been used to leverage for like weapons and arms deals. However, Richard O'Rourke, a former RIA member, kind of dismissed this notion, saying that in the 1990s, the IRA was financially robust. So these... That's their theme song. So these 13 paintings actually wouldn't have been worth as much as they already had. So it seems a little bit not quite right, but they were looked into and it was suspected that because it was such an extensive criminal network that the IRA potentially got these paintings, put them on a boat, got them out of Dodge real quick. But yeah, they've just they're on the back burner because they have been known to do it in the past.
It wasn't them. I'm saying
straight up.
No, they're an X.
They're an X.
Nah, I'm not getting
busy.
vibes.
They're too busy.
I'm not getting vibes.
All right.
No, not the IRA.
All right.
Sorry.
Suspect number 4.
The patriarchal family.
And I'm going to say the Italian mafia, they have a bit more of an intricate connection, I guess. So Boston at the time was all about like no snitching. This particular crime family was very prominent in the 90s. And pretty much if you snitched on them, you know, snitches do get stitches. An example would be, just say there was like 20 people in a bar. If someone from the Italian like mafia came in, shot a guy, everyone saw it, no one would say anything.
Yeah, they didn't. Oh, mafia's so scary.
Especially at this time.
Scared of the mafia.
Are you?
Yes.
I'm like,
Imagine ever getting involved in something to do with the mafia. I would be so paranoid.
I'd be very stressed.
Yeah.
But I also think I could cook them some food and be okay.
Yeah. I feel like I would be the one who knows like all the goings on, but I just keep my mouth shut and I feed my boys.
Feed the boys. Keep those boys fed.
Yeah.
That's fine.
I'll be mama. Yeah.
In the years leading up to the 1990s, the Italian mob was actually starting to fall apart because the FBI was really on the case to try and prosecute the big dogs in the mafia and from the different crime families. Cocaine at the time was a big business. And the reason why this is important is that stolen art was essentially used as security for like getting a loan for cocaine. So essentially what would happen is just say someone from the mafia would be like, all right, I want 20, I don't know what we're talking, but I want 20 cocaines. I want $20,000 worth of cocaine. I don't have the money.
Asking for cocaine from the mafia. Hey, I want 20 cocaines.
I want 20. You've got some reefer?
I wouldn't know what to do.
Yeah. Got a brick?
Yeah, what's a brick? Does that mean it's the size of a brick? That seems like a lot.
Hey, that seems like too much.
And an 8-ball, what does that mean?
Yeah, and like, how many 8-balls?
That sound, because 8-balls are from they say it in the movies. I wouldn't know how to order cocaine.
I wouldn't know how to get on the apps and order cocaine on my Uber Eats.
Yeah.
I would be like, sorry, how much is a lot?
Yeah. Oh, no.
No, I've ordered too much. What they would do is, instead of having the money up front, they'd say, all right, give me a loan. Here's here's my kind of security blanket of, you know, instead of, you know, putting your house up, you know, it's like a mortgage type situation.
Yeah.
And then once you sold off all the cocaine and you gave them their money back, you wouldn't have to worry about your art going missing. It's it's just like a little piece of security. Also, they would use the paintings as leverage. If someone was getting convicted, they'd say, hey, we'll tell you where this painting is if they get a lesser sentence.
Yep.
So potentially the mafia stole it in order to use it down the track.
Yeah.
And at the
leverage.
And especially at this time, if they were prosecuting all the big dogs, they would need a lot of leverage to make sure that those sentences were shorter. When we say that the mafia did it, it wasn't like the top dog was going in and heisting. They paid someone to go and do it.
Yeah.
Go in, get the stuff that I want, and roll out. So if we're talking about this family, when we move on to our next suspects, these people are also all involved with kind of the mafia at some point.
Okay.
Did these particular suspects maybe perform the heist for this family, or did they work on their own?
I'm getting vibes from the Patriarcha family. Like they're the heartbeat of this operation. They are involved somehow.
Oh. Should we move on to suspect number 5? Bobby Donati.
Bobby Donati. Oh, don't mess with Bobby Donati. Are these people still alive? Are we going to get targeted?
I will put a big allegedly at the end of this. Don't worry.
Bobby Donati. Okay.
His life is pretty much, it is The Sopranos. Mob ties with previous art heists, and if you're looking for someone with means and motives, he's someone who had the option to be able to pull off the Gardner Museum heist. He was born in East Boston in 1940. They were really kind of just in crime underworld from a young age. And by the 1960s, he was working with the mafia crime family.
Yes.
I can't say it. Patriarcha crime family. Because he'd been around it for so long, he was in it. Mm-hmm. He wasn't just some low-level thug kind of on the streets. He was connected to serious people and had been involved in armed robberies, extortion, and a lot of art theft. So in the 1970s, he was casing the Gardner Museum. It was known that he was, looking around. Mm-hmm. And he was talking about it, and potentially about committing a heist with our friend, Mr. Miles Connor Jr.
Right, okay, so they're buddies.
They're buddies. How close they are is questionable, but they had spoken to each other about potentially committing a crime because Bobby Donati knew that Miles had the intel to be able to commit a crime like that.
Yeah.
Apparently, they even discussed dressing up as cops to get inside the museum.
I'm thinking about the way that they broke in now, and it does seem like the way that they conducted themselves seem like two people who have been around the tracks. They've done things like this a lot. It's very casual to them. That's why they were so cool, calm, and collected. Hey, we're going to tie you guys up now. We're going to be in here for 80 minutes. We're going to steal a bunch of stuff.
And I don't know why, but something about them saying, gentlemen, this is a robbery, screams mafia to me.
Yeah, it's definitely not their first rodeo.
Yeah. Miles Connor was in prison, as we said, at the time of the heist, but he had potentially said that Donati and another associate named David had pulled it off. So Miles is a little bit like, hey, look at this guy. So Connor believed that they didn't steal the art for the money, but used it as a bargaining chip to get him and other people out of jail.
Yeah,
so
right.
They weren't stealing it for the money at all. They knew they couldn't sell these paintings. They were too hot property.
Yep.
But they knew that they could use them as bargaining chips.
Okay.
Another random fact is that the weird Napoleon thing that was stolen that night,
flagpole sitter,
Donati was a bit of a Napoleon kind of like fan and was interested in Napoleon artifacts.
Okay.
So potentially, because it was such a weird thing to steal, because it really didn't have much value, to someone who...
He'd be the type.
He'd be the type. He'd be like, I want that.
Oh, he did it. I reckon he's definitely involved.
He's involved?
He's gone top of my list.
Rick's moved down one.
Yep. Unless... I've got a theory, but I'll wait till we've got all the
facts. Yeah. At the time, like we've said, the mafia's a bit in shambles. Every major boss was either in prison or about to be in prison. Mm-hmm. Donati was kind of seeing the writing on the wall, and it was alleged that maybe he was using it to help get him and his friends out of jail. And that's kind of where we're going to leave Bobby Donati. There is a little bit more to his story, but I think that to later on.
Well, that's suspicious. Okay.
Bobby Donati. All right, suspect 6.
Okay.
Do the reveal. Give it a good tag. Go. The two Bobbies.
Not the two Bobbies.
There's so many fucking Roberts and Bobbies in this.
So many Bobbies.
Oh, just be called Bobby and we know you're part of the mafia.
God.
All right. The two Bobbies. So let's talk about how they're both named Robert, but they were and also their last names both start with G. So it was Robert Garante and Robert Gentile. Their alleged involvement offers a glimpse into like the murky world of organized crime. Let's talk about Top Bobby first. Top Bobby. So he was born in 1936. He was also a seasoned criminal with deep ties to the mafia. He was known for his involvement in various illicit activities. He was known for drug trafficking, armed robbery, and in the late 1980s, he had established connections with several key figures in the underworld. So he was an associate criminal hierarchy, but he was more a, armed robbery type guy.
He's seasoned.
So that's a little bit about him. Then we've got
Bottom Bobby.
He also was in crime from an early age. He had a really long rap sheet that included a lot of drug offences and illegal firearm possessions. He maintained a relatively low profile. However, during the investigation, the FBI got a tip from a woman named Aline Garanti. I think it was, from memory, I can't remember. He was the brother-in-law.
Top Bobby or Bottom Bobby?
Bottom Bobby, Bobby's sister-in-law spoke to the FBI.
Okay.
All right, so this is very strange, and I just found it. She was quite in the documentary. She's just kind of funny. She's like one of these women. She's like got a heavy Boston accent. She's clearly been around these criminals for a long time.
Yeah.
And she was like, he wanted to hang this picture on his wall in his bedroom, and it was just this ugly picture, and it was in this frou-frou frame, and I couldn't understand it. And she was like, the FBI was like, was it this picture? Was it this picture? And they were like, no. And then they showed a picture of one of these paintings from this crime, and she's like, that's the one.
That's the one right there.
That's the one that my Bobby had. Like, it was very that.
Yeah.
So she kind of tipped off the FBI that maybe he was involved.
Uh-huh.
So the connection between these two Bobbies is that some speculate that Bottom Bobby, I think. Top Bobby. Oh, God, it's so hard to know. So Bottom Bobby thought, things are about to go down. I need to get rid of these paintings.
Yep.
Him and his wife went to Top Bobby. They went to this little restaurant. So the two wives are sitting there being like, this is weird. Why are we sitting in this restaurant together? They think that they were exchanging the paintings and removing them.
Oh.
So Bottom Bobby had the paintings.
Yep.
Gave them to Top Bobby because he's like, I cannot be found with these paintings. It's about to go down. Get rid of them for me. Move them somewhere else. And Top Bobby was like, no worries, mate. I'll get you out of Dodge. Let me go and hide these paintings for you. So they moved the paintings.
Okay.
So that's kind of where whether Top Bobby kind of just came into it because he just happened to move the paintings and it was really Bottom Bobby who did the actual crime in. Unclear.
Also, for the listeners, the reason why we're saying Top and Bottom Bobby, I was just thinking, we haven't visually, you'll see on YouTube, but we actually have a suspect board next to us. I don't know if we mentioned that. And we've got all pictures of each suspect here, and the picture of the two Bobbies is a picture together. One's on top of the other. Hence why we're saying Top Bobby, Bottom Bobby. Not getting much from the Bobbies. I was starting to kind of like, I don't know, their story wasn't gripping me as much as the others. I was kind of losing a bit of steam with them. They're just very random for me.
They're very random.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
But Bobby Donati, on the other hand, something about
you.
I'm getting tingles when I go near his picture.
Alrighty. Well, shall we do our final suspect?
Yes.
Our final reveal.
Oh, he looks like a bad man. David Turner.
David Turner. He's got a...
Like Kyle Sanderlands.
I was going to say he's just kind of got no... It's just a head to neck kind of it's just a big... He looks like he could be a rugby player.
Yes. Which I usually like. There's just something in his eyes.
But there's nothing in there.
Black. There's nothing in there.
There's no soul. This guy's name has been repeatedly linked to the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum heist. Once again, he was born in the Boston area and really just went straight into the crime underworld at a young age. He was closely associated with Carmine Molino, also known as the Big Cheese.
The Big Cheese.
Who was a notorious crime boss with a vast network of illicit activities. Turner's criminal resume included involvement in armed robberies and other violent crimes. He was really in deep with organised crime. His involvement and connection to the heist is that he had a number of associates that were really under suspicion, and it was kind of like he wasn't the brains of the operation, but he definitely could have been the brawn. So
Yeah, he's giving more brawn than brain.
So it's kind of like it led him to be a key suspect because the FBI was like, we think you know something about this, and potentially whether you knew what the whole plan was or you were just there on the night.
Patsy.
You were a little bit of a patsy.
Is that what that means? Like patsy's someone you get to do your dirty work for you. I think it is.
Yeah. I like how we both went.
SJ who kind of knows everything about things. Yeah.
Hey. So the reason why he's kind of implicated is he had rented a car at this time that looked like the car that was sitting outside of the museum on the night of the heist.
Because it wasn't a cop car, but there were two people dressed as cops
in this car.
Okay.
But then he also had an alibi that he was in a different area at the time.
Okay.
But it is potentially believed that he had given his card and a credit card and stuff to someone else to be like, all right, you go and spend some of my money down here.
Oh, so his alibi was I used my card in this location.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they're like, he's like, I was nowhere near it. See, my card pinged here. And they're like, was it you or was it somebody else using your card? Which was clever.
It is clever.
Give your phone to... We can't be committing crimes anymore.
There's CCTV everywhere.
Yeah, but like, don't take your phone to the scene of the crime.
No.
That's like rule number 1.
Yeah.
This is a little bit later. He gets convicted of other crimes. And they really go hard on David Turner to be like, we know you know where the paintings are. We know you know something about this. We will lesser your sentence if you tell us what happened. Weirdly, his prison sentence for that crime does get lessened, but we have no idea why.
Okay.
So, yeah, he does get convicted for unrelated crimes, but his sentence does get considerably, like he could have been in jail for 38 years, but he only goes to jail for like 20, something like that.
Bailouts, crooked cops, all that kind of stuff. The thing is, though, if he was to tell them any information, the mafia is going to get his ass anyway. So it's a double-edged sword. So it's either like be in prison, do your sentence, or tell them where it is, get out early, but get offed by the mafia.
Yeah. And you don't want to cross the mafia.
No.
They will get you.
They'll get you.
There is a bit of like overlap and questions around David Turner, whether he knew a lot about this crime or he was just involved somehow. TBC.
What a tangled web.
Tangled web. We have quite a few. So far, who's on the top of your list?
Okay. I think the heart of this operation is the Patriarca family. I think they didn't do anything themselves, but they got their mate Bobby Donati and Miles Connor to kind of create this whole thing, to go in dressed as the cops. They were very calm and whatever. These two have been around the tracks for ages. Doing something like this wouldn't exactly be as stressful as it would be for a new criminal. I feel like somehow they're in cahoots with Rick Abath. Now, whether Rick owes money to the mafia or, I don't know, is in a bit of trouble himself, I think these two might have like threatened him or like done something so he could, you know,
either make some money or get out of a debt.
Yes. The only confusing part is like, why would they still, you know, tie him up, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But I guess if you want to look innocent, then you get tied up and whatever. So I think Patriarcha family, heart of the operation. Bobby and Miles are the two main guys who broke in. Rick Abath is involved somehow.
Yeah. And also very strange that you would leave the two. There are two ways to look at it. Strange that you leave the two security guards alive.
Yeah.
Because they've seen you. They can identify you.
Yeah.
But also, do you want to kill someone when you're just stealing paintings? Because it changes the crime.
Where have these other suspects come from? Like, well, why are they on this board?
I'm also going to say these are all real suspects. None of them are fake. These were all people that the FBI had on their radar.
Yes. I don't think it was the IRA. I think they're my least. The two Bobbies, I was kind of dipping in and out of that information. I didn't find it terribly interesting.
There's way more stuff to it, but I was like, fuck, I can't talk about it anymore.
I was getting a bit of the like post Kylie's while their story was being
la,
told.
La, 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 la.
And then I just started thinking about like Fran Drescher and the nanny because that's how I was picturing the wife to look like.
Yeah.
Yeah, two Bobbies and David Turner, not getting much about them. David Turner, I just feel like was a really big suspect probably for every crime that happened
in Boston at that time.
At the time, because he was a big naughty boy. Mm-hmm. Yeah, patriarchal family, Bobby Donati, Miles Conner Jr. I really think Rick had something to do with it, or he was aware that something was going to happen.
All right, so
tell me, Steph. Tell me, please.
Before I do,
do we need a break?
All right, Joel, let's look alive.
Let's crack down on these baddies.
These bad boys. Righty. So, before we get to the whodunit, let's talk a little bit about crime scene and what happened. So, Boston police they disturbed this crime scene a lot before the FBI arrived.
They're touching everything.
So a first example is when the two security guards came in they were the first on the scene. There was a crowbar left in the security office.
Yep.
He picked it up and gave it to the woman to defend herself. Mate, that's evidence.
Wait, what woman to defend herself?
The security guard, the first woman on the scene. She was a lady security guard.
Oh, okay.
And so he gave it to her to defend herself.
Yep.
And could have had fingerprints on it.
Yeah.
You know? Anyway, evidence was moved. Footprints weren't properly documented. And crucial details that might have led investigators to who had done it kind of wasn't logged. It was all a bit of a mess.
Uh-huh.
Then there was a missing VHS tape of the museum security footage.
Right.
So it's a key piece of evidence, but the tape that recorded the night of the heist was gone. Mm-hmm. Where's it disappeared to? Who would know to take that?
Rick.
So either the thieves took it or someone just accidentally erased it. Either way, it doesn't exist.
Okay.
There is footage from the night before the heist. In 2015, investigators actually released footage of this night before. And it was weird because the exact same thing that happened the night following happened the night before. So a man pulled up in his car, he enters the museum, and Rick lets him in.
Like, was he dressed as anything?
No, he was not. However, they didn't identify the person in the 90s, I guess, when they were looking at it. But it was eventually identified as the museum's deputy director. Were they testing something? Did Rick just go, well, that's the deputy director, I'm going to let him in?
Yeah, okay.
It's just a bit strange.
Yeah. That don't make no sense. Now, we mentioned that there was also a minute-by-minute playbook around the alarms and
what am I trying to say? Sorry, we're getting to the
sensors.
The sensors. So there was a minute-by-minute account. At 12:27 a.m., exit hall alarm goes off. Then at 1:24, the thieves enter the building. Then at 1:48, another alarm goes off. Mm-hmm. Thieves don't leave. And at 1:51, they start triggering more alarms as they move through the museum.
Yeah, okay.
But between 2:15 and 2:23, there's no alarms set off at all. Not a single, it's a 12-minute gap where nothing happens.
Could never be a robber because you have to do everything so late at night.
I'd be
so tired. I went to a Kylie concert last night, went to bed maybe an hour later than I'm used to. I am so tired today.
You could probably tell by the time we got to the two bobbies.
Oh, two bobbies. Just something about those two bobbies really didn't
gel.
Jazz me. But then I got back to it with David.
During the 81 minutes of heisting, there are 48 minutes that are undetected.
Yep.
So either the thieves knew how to disable the system or there was a power glitch. But the reason why this is strange is because there's the blue room mystery.
Yes.
So the only person recorded going into that room is Rick. However, what if it just wasn't recorded because it was said that the people who owned this security system had said, yes, there are faults in the system. Sometimes it won't detect things. So what if Rick wasn't the last person to enter that room? What if the thieves did, but it just wasn't picked up on the detectors?
Because I was also thinking, I'm like, maybe once it's tripped one time, I don't know, maybe it takes a while to reset itself or something, or it's like only one trip per night,
or it's just like there's too much happening.
Or it's like one of those things where like certain shops will have those like security gates at the front, but they're not really connected to anything. It's more of a deterrent.
Yeah, and I think also we've got to remember this is the 90s.
Yeah.
Tech is a bit, it's
not where it is now.
Yeah.
It's not too bad.
But it has been said that if there's in those 81 minutes, if 48 minutes are unaccounted for, surely at some point someone went into that room.
And they're the 40 crucial minutes where everything kind of happened.
So it's strange. There's also a couple of other things that are weird. The duct tape used to tie up the guards has disappeared. There is no evidence of it. That potentially, so at the time, they probably wouldn't have been able to pull DNA from it, but, you know, they could probably pull, if they had that evidence, they might have been able to get some more evidence later down the track.
Robbers just put it in their bags and took it with them, no?
Well, apparently it was there at the crime scene when the cops were there and when the FBI was there.
It was gone.
And now it's gone.
Mama.
So there was a secret passage in the museum which led from one floor to another behind it was like a secret door.
Cool.
Which is cool. When the FBI arrived, that door was open.
Okay.
It is unclear because the crime scene had been so essentially disturbed, whether the cops went through that door, someone from security went through that door.
There's been no communication really between the cops and so the Boston cops did fuck everything up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. They weren't ready for this crime.
Hungover, St. Patrick's Day.
They didn't want to be there.
No.
They just wanted to go to bed.
Yeah.
They'd been to the Kylie concert the night before. They're tired.
They might not care about art, so in their mind, they're just like,
yeah, we'll find them. How far could these guys get? There was no clear handover between the cops and the FBI.
Yeah.
Because I think as well, when the cops got there, they were worried about, were the robbers still in there? Do we need to defend ourselves? You know, there was a bit of that, I guess. So, you know, they were probably just trying to work out, is there someone still dangerous in here, as opposed to we need to document what's happening around us.
Yeah.
So at first, the FBI threw everything at this case. There were 45 agents working this investigation. But by 1997, there was just one FBI agent working on it, and he was essentially just a pretty low-level FBI agent.
Yeah, it's try and figure this one out.
Yeah, when you've got time. The reward that was originally $1 million, though, had been upped to $5 million. So, Joel, I guess the question is, where is the art and who did it?
Yes.
I hate to tell you, Joel, we actually don't know.
Steph! No, not an unsolved mystery. We went through all that. No. I figured it out. It's the Patriarcha family.
Allegedly.
And Bobby and Miles did it. And Rick
knew it.
Had a heads up. But he was like, hey, can you tie me up and stuff like that? So it looks like I've got nothing to do with this, but I'll let you guys in. I'll help out. Yeah. Okay?
Yeah. Let's go.
Are you listening, Boston
FBI? Yeah. So in 2013, the FBI announces they're confident they know who stole the paintings. However, they still don't know where the art is. No arrests have ever been made. And essentially the case goes cold.
Well, who are they confident about?
They said, they just literally are like, we know who did it. I'll never tell.
Oh my God.
So let's run through each of these suspects and kind of where we land with them now.
Okay.
So Rick essentially, obviously some questionable decisions made on that night.
Yeah. Real sus.
Yeah, real sus. He passed away in 2024 at the age of 57.
Oh, Rick.
He maintained his innocence for decades. He was interviewed by reporters. People tried to get the story out of him.
Yeah.
But he said, I am innocent.
Mm-hmm.
I had nothing to do with this. But his actions on the night are still debated to this day.
Yep.
Miles Connor Jr., still around. Still around.
He'd be in his 90s.
Yeah, he's older. He's very.
Yeah.
And he's kind of just living on a field, living in the middle of nowhere. Obviously, he had a life of crime, but he had an alibi because he was in prison at the time. He's living a pretty quiet life.
Oh my God, I forgot he was in prison. Mm-hmm. Okay, so he wasn't there that night.
He wasn't there that night,
but
Bobby
was. It was him. Maybe Bobby and David.
Maybe.
David did give his card to someone else. Use it somewhere else as his alibi.
Maybe he gave it to one of the Bobbies.
Maybe the two Bobbies.
The two
did it
Bobbies
all along.
He said he swears he wasn't involved, but he also said that the museum was on his bucket list. So did he fulfill that? We'll never know.
Do you reckon if Miles was 99 years old and he calls up the police and he's like, guess what? I did it. They wouldn't arrest him, would they? I don't think he'd bother.
I think he could strike a deal and be like, all right.
Is there an age that you can be where it's just like, we're not sending this person to prison?
I think it depends on what your leverage
on the crime.
is. Yeah. I think if Miles was like, hey guys, I know where the art is. I'll tell you where it is. Just don't send me to jail for the last 2 years of my life.
I feel like if they were a terrible, terrible person, they confessed to something really awful, murder or even, all that icky stuff. Maybe serving your last years in prison would be your comeuppance.
Yeah.
But if it's just a bit of, theft and whatever.
Thoughts and feelings. Hopefully we get a deathbed confession. All right, Bobby Donati. So he's one of the bigger suspects in this case. Obviously, he cased a museum. He had ties to people who had done stuff like this before. He had also had access to Boston police uniforms as well.
Oh.
He was murdered in 1991.
A year after it happened.
Happened. He was found stabbed to death in the trunk of his car.
Yikes.
And his case was never solved. If he did steal the paintings, maybe he was going to say something about it and a certain family might have said...
Or it could be another crime.
Yeah.
That
Let's
he was
say,
involved.
From all accounts, it does look like Bobby Donati was killed as a hit. Allegedly.
See, I think they do know who did it. I think the mafia just had too much power.
Bobby Donati deceased pretty quickly after the crime. We'll never know. But he did seem to have some... It looks like maybe, potentially, he knew something.
Yep.
We'll never know his account. Top Bobby?
Yes.
Bottom Bobby. He was actually known as a bit of a mafia fixer. He seemed to not really... have as many ties. However, he passed away in 2004 from cancer. His widow, so his wife, who was at that little luncheon, later claimed that he gave 2 of the paintings to fellow mobster Top Bobby.
Okay.
But those paintings have never been found.
And
so
Top Bobby might have... No, he'd be in his 90s if he was born in the 30s.
Yeah. So it was potential that there was an exchange of paintings. However, this was after Bottom Bobby had died, and this was the wife. So maybe she thought she heard something. Maybe she did.
Yeah.
It seems a little bit like, who knows?
Gossip queen.
Yeah. Then Top Bobby, he was accused of being in possession of the art. The FBI raided his house, and they actually really went hard on this guy. When they raided his house, they got out the radars to look under the ground, so they could see.
Cool. Yeah.
They were actually pretty positive they would find the paintings there. They were so convinced that they were going to find the paintings there. They pre-drew up these posters being like, painting recovered. So they were so sure they were going to find the paintings there.
No
paintings.
No trace.
What they did find there, however, was there was a like newspaper clipping with the heist at the time.
Okay.
There was also a yellow piece of paper within that newspaper clipping that listed every single piece of that artwork with a price next to each one.
Oh, that's pretty sus.
That's a bit sus.
Yep.
Top Bobby was died in 2021. He was 85. They thought they were going to get a deathbed confession from him. Like they were sure because like they'd raided his house. He was dying. I think he was maybe in jail at the time, and they kind of were like, if you know anything, tell us. We'll let you die at home next to your wife. And apparently he was a real wife guy. So he really wanted to be with his wife towards the end. But he said, if I knew anything about the paintings, I'd tell you. And he didn't say anything.
Okay.
So TBC, like why?
Just no snitch?
Yeah, I mean, David Turner. So he was suspected in being involved in the heist. He actually got sentenced to 38 years due to a armoured car robbery, and he mysteriously had 7 years shaved off his sentence with no explanation.
Yep.
We still to this day don't know why.
Okay.
He was released from prison in 2019, and he denies knowing anything about the Gardner heist.
What if it was none of these people and it was a whole bunch of other people?
It could be.
Could be.
But these were
the pretty
FBI,
sus at the time.
These were the FBI suspects.
Yeah.
And we'll say, allegedly, these are all alleged tales.
Yes.
To this day, the frames still hang empty on the walls of the Gardner Museum. You can go and you can see these empty frames.
That makes me sad because I really liked the
boat.
The boat one.
Boat one.
Nowhere to be seen. I wonder if you can buy prints of it. I'd love a framed print of that. I might have to get that.
Put it on your list.
Oh, that's a shame.
So it's eerie that you can like now walk in through that museum and see where these masterpieces used to be.
They didn't put anything up in the interim? In the meantime?
They've got other art there. They've just nothing's there.
Yeah, 70% of their stuff is gone and they just didn't replace it.
There's theories that have been thrown around over the past decades that have over the decades that have passed. Was it a mob hit? Was it, used as underworld currency?
Was it a ghost?
Did a billionaire collector maybe just go, I want that one?
Yeah.
And then someone went in and stole it for them and some money's exchanged hands. Have they been destroyed or do they still exist? Every year that passes, obviously the chance of getting them back becomes smaller and smaller, which is really sad. The Gardner Museum is now offering a $10 million reward. No questions asked.
That's gone up.
For anyone who has any information that leads to the recovery of the stolen art. So if you know of where it is, you could make yourself a quick $10 million, no questions asked, if you recover these pieces.
If someone says that they listened to our podcast and then figured out who did it, do we get a cut?
I think we would have to solve the... You're just like, Bobby. It's the highest reward money that's ever been put out for a heist. It's the biggest art heist in history that we know of and is the biggest reward money that's been offered.
Fascinating.
And it has been, it's been 30 years.
I just feel bad for all that. I hope whoever has it appreciates what it is.
I hope they still exist.
So do I.
Because I think that potentially maybe there is a rumor that maybe because when they got stolen, because there was so much heat on these paintings that the thieves didn't realize that maybe they just went, get rid of them.
Yeah.
It's a liability to have these.
Oh, I hope they didn't destroy them.
But that is one of the most famous heist cases in history.
That was fascinating.
It's a two-parter. There's a lot.
It was a bit annoying that it was an unsolved mystery.
I'm so sorry.
No, but it kind of adds to the mystery of it all.
I think there is something quite poetic about the fact that it's the John Benet Ramsey of it all, where you just don't know the outcome and you know what, we'll probably never know. And it will be one of those things that drives you a little bit insane sometimes that you're like, surely this will be solved. But it just might never.
I hope it does in our lifetime so we can be like,
60.
Thank God.
We're 60 still doing. Hey, did you hear? They got me.
It was you all along.
I did it when I was pre being born. I called them up. No, my parents did it. It's just like sitting on this secret.
I knew I recognized that art.
thought that was weird that Nan had that in her house.
Naniversal.
Oh, dear.
Oh, that was fascinating. Definitely a two-parter.
Thanks for sitting through that one. It was...
But I think it's, it was really gripping. I reckon our listeners will really enjoy that.
I hope so.
I did.
Yeah. Let us know what you thought.
Yes.
As always, you can find us on the Instagram, the TikTok and Apple, YouTubes. Come over onto YouTube. You can see our crime board.
Yes. I'm looking forward to a post-Kylie nap. I'm not going to lie.
I know, you could feel...
I started off so strong.
I feel like the energy really dipped towards the end.
No. We were still engaging and fun. But yes, I feel like...
It's time for a nap.
Nap time.
You know what? If you're not behind the wheel, you go and have a nap too.
Yeah, don't do it if you're behind the wheel.
Don't do it if you're listening driving, but if you're at home, have a little rest.
Have a little nana nap.
And we'll see you on the next one.
Bye, everybody.
Goodbye. Bye.